what we know to be anti-inflammatory nutritional strategies, anti-inflammatory sort of environmental systemic strategies, things like hypothermia, right? Has a very important role in controlling inflammation peripherally and ultimately systemically. And then clearly making certain that you're not taking into your body anything which has its own tendency to promote inflammation. That is being seen as critically important to controlling the aging process.
So can you describe, and I've talked about this in other videos, but there's hundreds of them out there, so people don't always see that stuff. What is inflammation? Can you describe like damage-associated molecular patterns and some of these things as well that sound scary and complicated, but when you boil it down, they're not that complicated for the basic discussion?
So let's make certain that everybody recognizes inflammation is a process that we need for responding to the continued barrage of insults that we absorb in every cell and tissue of our body. And inflammation is responsible for the demolition process that precedes renovation. So I often talk about, and I talk about it in the context of stem cells, that we are continually going through a renewal and remodeling process. Inflammation is a driver of all of that because it's responsible for targeting things that need to be cleaned out and ultimately replacing them by recruiting in cells to remodel. And so interestingly, inflammation can be thought of as an imbalance between demolition and repair. That's the way I think about it. So recently I've gotten, well, it's not really recent. For me, it's recent in my old age. For the last 10 years, I've been very focused on the role and importance of senescent cells and how senescent cells need to be a target of therapy. So it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. We're 25, 30 trillion cells. The vast majority of our cells have been developed from a population of stem cells that came in to replace some cells that kind of lost their functionality. So people say, well, what's a senescent cell? A senescent cell is a cell that, as a consequence of age and chronic damage, loses the ability to divide, and it starts to take on a phenotype, a form, that produces very abnormal peptides and proteins, many of which drive inflammation. Now, senescent cells play a role.